Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rekakadash. Double honors the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who are teaching this truth in sincerity. And a shout out to Yakims out there on the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rekakadash, Brakatan. So, we might be looking at another steal of a so-called recall election. As you know, though, they're going to try to convince everyone that Newsom had won the recall, or they could go the other way. Either way, though, you know as well as I do that things are not as they would seem. You know, pretty much FEMA's the one that's really running everything. These people are nothing but puppets, but nonetheless, though. Today is the beginning of a recall election, and also, a lot of other things taking place. There's also a hurricane going on. Now the Army is also involved with the Dixie Fire. I don't have any coverage of the Dixie Fire, but pretty much the U.S. Army has taken over that operation as well. So, a lot of things going on.
President Joe Biden.
As if this guy really has any influence, but they're going to try to convince you that he does.
President Biden was urging voters to keep Newsom in as governor, warning that the outcome of today's election could shape the country's direction on the pandemic and also on issues like reproductive rights and the battle to slow down climate change. President Biden also weighed in on the leading Republican candidate, Larry Elder.
He's a clone of Donald Trump. Can you imagine him being governor of this state?
So I'm supposed to believe they're all for him.
Let that happen.
4 is your local election headquarters, and today is the big day. Polls open in 2 hours for the recall election. Governor Newsom's job on the line today as people cast their ballots. KRON 4's Will Tran joining us live now from the elections office in Contra Costa County with a little bit more. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Noel. We do expect some of the workers to start arriving over the next hour or so. We were here a couple of years ago, about a year ago, for the presidential election. This time, it's the recall election, and you can still come by here and drop it off. You can see FEMA's the one really running shit. A lot of people have received their ballots by mail and sent it in, but a lot of people want to choose it the old-fashioned, traditional way by doing it in person, and we will be at a polling place in less than 2 hours from now when the polling place is right around the corner from where I live. These are the things that you need to know. It is a big day in California. We've talked about this for months now. The people who want to recall Governor Newsom, they've been campaigning up and down the state, and then we talked about President Biden. He arrived in California as well to campaign for the governor. So the polling places open up at 7 o'clock this morning, and they will close at 8 o'clock tonight. The ballots must be postmarked by today if you're doing it by mail. Now, the ballot can be dropped off at a ballot box by 8 o'clock tonight. And
our live coverage of all things recall starts right now, and lots of people voted early by mail. Others are waiting until today to cast their ballot in person. Should the governor be recalled, yes or no?
Bumper stickers I read.
46 candidates should replace him. This was the scene in Contra Costa County just a little while ago. Polls are open until 8 tonight. If you missed the deadline to register, you can still do it in same day in person. KPIX5's Justin Andrews has been at a polling place in San Jose since before it opened this morning. Justin.
And don't forget, they want to make sure you get your shots.
Got here a little bit before the poll workers. Their process, though, was very tedious and tight, and it takes a lot of time. It's been busy here since about 6:30 this morning, but I want you to take a look inside now. If you thought this inflatable is going pretty wild outside, imagine what things look like inside. The machines and the manpower moving fast on this recall election day, making sure your ballots are sorted and counted.
The ballots are always handled by 2 people, so 2 staff members at all times.
There's only certain people that have
we've heard that all
secured
before.
areas.
Our camera's right there as assigned poll workers unlocked the area where several thousands of mail-in ballots were stored and secured.
We take it seriously, so there's a lot of security around that room where the ballots are getting counted.
It's a process that takes hundreds of workers and long hours to finish. And this isn't the only thing happening inside the Santa Clara County Registrar of Voters office.
Sounds like a queer, doesn't it?
This is a polling place, too, where you can do in-person voting. In Santa Clara County, leaders say voter turnout
two-thirds of our people are totally fucking lost.
We're at 45% right now. We're anticipating an influx of people coming to the vote centers and to vote in person in our office.
Stephanie Gonzalez voted in person today. She has her thoughts of this recall, expected to cost more than $250 million, which comes out to roughly $7 per California resident.
And I'm talking massive fire.
And this is what really happened on 9/11.
Fire does not burn by itself hot enough to compromise and melt steel. What we had in the World Trade Center, and I saw myself, was molten lava-like pockets of molten steel. All right, I spent the night on the pile searching for bodies, and I saw that with my own eyes. So who are you going to believe? Are you going to believe a bunch of government bureaucrats or my fellow brothers, which I lost 343 guys that day? And I lost Tommy O'Hagan, Bruce Van Hines, and Kenny Kumpel. And I can never forget that.
Got to deal with the
before I go to bed, I think about it the first thing in the morning when I wake up. And it's in honor of them and their family that I will continue to do everything I can to make the rest of the world wake up to the fact that this was a false flag operation.
Right. And now, as you're out there with professionals who understand what it is that they're seeing, what were you all saying to each other when you're looking at this molten lava?
Well, we were overcome with grief. First of all, we lost 343 guys. We weren't talking about that. If you look at the numerous videos, you'll see the guys bent over in incredible grief. One of the things that we have in the fire department is an incredible brotherhood. We do what we do, an aggressive interior attack, because we believe in each other. We know that our guys will pull us out if we get into trouble. And if we lose somebody, we're family. We're very close. We know each other's families. We know each other's children. And one of the things that I've been privy to is I'm proud of is that the New York City Fire Department is a calling. It brings out the best in guys, in men who put their lives on the line to save other people's lives.
I know. Fast forward to the Dixie Fire.
Probably the least integrated.
Now the U.S. Army has taken
the services, right? When I first came into the firehouse, it was all heavy brogues and stuff.
All with their plans to burn California.
Guys, I've seen them bent over giving mouth to mouth to little black children that they've just pulled out of a building. And typically when you die or when you cease to start to breathe, you throw up. And they gave them mouth to mouth. I've seen incredible acts of heroism. I love my fellow firefighters. We love each other. And I'm dedicated to exposing this false flag that took their lives.
What do your comrades say to you? What do people say to you? Because we've tried to talk to some people, and of course, they have to worry about their pension.
A lot of people don't want to believe 9/11 was a false flag.
And I'm retired. But while I was on, I was approached by the news, and
a lot of people
I deferred from commenting for two reasons. First of all, I was at 1993, the first bombing, and I saw that. I stood shoulder to shoulder with the FBI while they foraged for little paint chips, and with their forensic science, they can take that paint chip and tell you the make and model of a vehicle that it belonged to. All right, and that was a bombing. This was a bombing.
What did you think about them taking all of the debris away so quickly?
That was a crime in and of itself, because the classical thing that any investigator is taught is protect the crime scene. And NIST and the 9/11 Commission lied to the public. I mean, you cannot be that stupid. You cannot be that stupid.
Parents are rightly
furious
after a teacher was caught taping face masks to 4th grade students. Wait till you see this. I've got the details. Before I go further, if you're new here, hit the red button down below. The notification.
Teacher caught taping face masks to students. This is the draconian laws, but it starts out with 9/11, doesn't
Bill
it?
Shiver at the Blaze, who reports that the mother of a
NDAA,
in Las
Patriot
Vegas,
Act.
Nevada, is fuming after a substitute teacher reportedly taped a mask to her son's face after he mistakenly took it off during class. The mother, who wished not to be identified, spoke at length about the alleged incident in an interview with KVVU-TV over the weekend. She has since filed a police report and is calling for the teacher's resignation. Let's take a look at that local report.
I was furious. I was scared for my son on what kind of long-term effect it's going to have on him socially. The fact that the entire class was laughing.
This mom of a 4th grade student at Reedham Elementary in Mountain's Edge says his substitute teacher stepped way over the line when the 9-year-old failed to properly wear his mask in class.
Or did they rig the election like they did before?
Teacher
we know the answer to these
tell
things.
him to put it back on or send him to the office.
But our faith and trust is in Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Classroom in front of all of the students, and she then taped the mask across the top of his face.
The mom says the sub added a second layer of tape from his nose to his forehead, and with tape still on his face, he went to the office to pick up homework he'd forgotten at home and his dad dropped off.
When he went to the office to pick up that homework is when one of the administrators noticed the tape on his face.
Alarmed, that administrator took the tape off of the child and alerted the principal, who went to the classroom to investigate, filling out this report.
And she saw another student who she thought was my son with tape on their face as well.
This mom later asked her son had other students also had their masks taped to their face. He said yes. It's been happening in his classroom since the beginning of the school year.
And that's what's really going on.
He says that he remembers
with the mask mandates.
This mom says it is not a political issue. She has no problem with the mask mandate, but says 9-year-olds like her son are often forgetful and should never be punished, purposefully embarrassed in this way.
Unbelievable. In a statement to the news outlet, Clark County School District said that the district is aware of the isolated incident and is dealing with the employee.
Isolated? That's numerous incidents.
Actively notified the family of the investigation. They state here that CCSD has a mask mandate.
See, total corruption everywhere. We know that this is the fall of Babylon.
School year that requires all.
That's why we're enjoying every bit of this as we hasten to come in day at Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Status.
China, their own worst enemy, as tensions rise in South China Sea. The Olympics, the fall of Kabul, and the damage wrought by Delta have all occupied the world's focus in the past few months. But in the waters to Australia's north, foreign navies have been gathering and critical diplomatic deals have been done. All to ensure China does not control the South China Sea through direct force or by intimidation. I think that it behooves all of us who are like-minded countries, who support the idea of a free and open Indo-Pacific. Former U.S. Indo-Pacific Commander and former U.S. Ambassador to South Korea, retired Admiral Harry Harris, told 7.30. We should be concerned about China's aggressive actions, not only in the South China Sea, but elsewhere. Beginning on September 1st, Beijing's state-run media reported the nation's Coast Guard now has the power to demand foreign ships declare certain cargoes when traveling through waters it claims. The Global Times reported China's Navy or Coast Guard had the power to dispel or reject a vessel's entry, if it is found to pose a threat to China's national security. It seemed innocuous, a safety measure. But it is being interpreted as a threat to interdict and board ships in waters deemed international by the United Nations. Just as China engaged in economic coercion with Australia, on the high seas a Chinese ship could target one country's ships to send a signal to others. The Philippines Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana told CNN, "I'm very concerned about this law because it might cause miscalculations and accidents."
We'll be under the Syria
Former deputy head of Australia's Defense Intelligence Organization, Michael Shoebridge, told 7.30 it was incremental intimidation and coercion from China. The real problem is that the individual commanders on Chinese ships and aircraft can think that they're doing exactly what Xi Jinping wants by creating confrontation and escalation, Mr. Shoebridge said. And then you get things like pride, face, and nationalism, that when an event starts to happen, leaders find it hard to back down.
Vladimir Putin hosted the Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad on an unannounced visit to the Russian capital. Monday's meeting was the first between the two since Putin's visit to Damascus last year. Apart from discussing the situation in Afghanistan, both leaders stressed the need for restoring political dialogue in Syria, with the country still trapped in a decade-long civil war. And Putin reassured Assad that his country had the support of Russia, but raised alarm at foreign presence on its soil.
The main issue, in my opinion, is that foreign armed forces are present in certain Syrian territories without any UN mandate and without your authorization, which clearly contradicts international law and prevents you taking maximum efforts to consolidate the country and move along the path of its restoration at a rate that would be possible if the entire territory was controlled by a legitimate government.
Earlier spoke to Britain's former ambassador to Syria, who said the timing of the meeting is just right now given the current situation in the Middle East.
I think the visit was probably very timely in view of the recent American withdrawal from Afghanistan. Now, logically, you might think that President Biden would follow up withdrawal from ending the forever war in Afghanistan with a similar withdrawal in Syria. After all, the purpose of the American troops in northeast Syria, supposedly to keep control over ISIS, is a transparent nonsense. The real purpose is to put pressure on Assad to step down, and is very unlikely to happen. Therefore, the US continuing presence in northeast Syria.
And here we go. The hesitancy is because of Democrats. This is coming from Trump. It's not hesitancy, it's refusal. There is a difference. So you see, if he were still so-called president, he'd be pushing it too. Because the New World Order, aka FEMA, is the one really running shit. But we, the elect, already know this, but the reason why we keep reiterating it is for someone new coming in at the last minute. You do anything like this to your body, you can kiss your ass goodbye. You ain't getting into heaven. You have destroyed the temple in which the Holy Spirit is supposed to live and dwell in you. Can't live and dwell in you if you've altered it. See, he's pushing people to get it too.
So as the storm made landfall near Canada.
And we got this hurricane going on after Ida. Nicholas.
This morning where that area was hit hard. The rain has pretty much stopped here in Matagorda County this morning. We are just experiencing some drizzle, but the big news here is the damage left behind. We're outside of Stanley's. It's a convenience store here in Matagorda, and you can see the roof of this gas pump on its side. We know that Tropical Storm Nicholas made landfall near Sargent around 1 o'clock this morning. What we saw driving into the county today were several downed trees, debris in the roadway, and a few TxDOT crews on the road. In neighboring Bay City, we know that the town was mostly dark driving through. According to AEP Texas, more than 10,000 customers are without power. And if you take a look over here, you could see that Matagorda is pretty much in the dark as well. AEP reporting about about 1,900 customers here in Matagorda without power. In terms of water, we did notice some ponding, but no high water. But that all could change once daylight comes out and we get a better look to assess some of that damage. In Matagorda, Taisha Walker, KPRC 2 News.